Hey guys, it's Miss Jones here, and today I want to talk about what we're going to be talking about and learning about in ILA this week. So this week, you guys are going to be learning about the different types of informational text, and there are three different types that we're going to talk about, um, and we're just going to take a look at it, look at the definitions for each, learn about each type, and then look at some key components that we need to look for when we're looking at um, different texts and what we need to look for when we're trying to identify what text we need. All right, so we have types of informational text. All right, our first one is historical text. So we want to look at historical text. When you're looking at a historical text, you're going to learn, it's going to tell us about events that happened in the past. So this could be a passage that talks about maybe the history behind the 4th of July, or like if they're talking about any battles or wars from like Civil War or World War II, or really anything we learn about that has to do with history or things that have already happened, that's probably going to be a historical text. So this historical text is going to describe what happened, why it happened, and how these events led to new events. And when we're looking at it, we want to look for timelines. So this is going to, like, along with the dates, like a list of dates that tell us what happened at that time, or led to this thing, or it's a list of dates that kind of tell us what happened for each one. You're most likely going to see maps for historical text. It's going to talk about different places. You might even see like journal entries. It could be a famous person's journal entry for a date and a time that has to do with the big historical event. Times, so like years, things like that. And big historical events, like we've been talking about, anything big and historical that we may learn about in social studies, or you may already know about. If you read a passage about that, most of the time it's historical text. Next is scientific text. I was just going to explain scientific concepts, so different kind of sciencey things, and the scientific reasoning for what happened, how it happens, and why it happened. This is going to be from things you learn about in science, or any passages you may read in science, that they're going to be scientific text because it's telling you about a scientific concept, like maybe photosynthesis, or how light refracts, or things like that, where it has to do with kind of like a science topic. It's going to be a scientific text. And you'll see like photographs and data collection is when they take different, so they might do like experiments, and they take the data from the experiments and then they put it in the passage and tell you about what happened, and it tells you about what they observed, what they saw, and it might include charts sometimes. All right, next is technical. So for technical text, it describes how to do something in steps, tells us what order to do something, and it may tell us why we need to do something. So this, you're going to see this, and it might be telling you how to make a PB&J sandwich, how to carve a pumpkin. Recipes are technical texts. To-do lists, how to do things. So you're looking for steps. It may have directions or diagrams. Has instructions in it telling you what to do at each step. Has order, and then it talks about how to do something. Most of the time it's how to do something. So directions or anything you follow. So that is our chart. If you can't really see it here, I'm going to have a picture of this on Canvas for you to look at, and you can copy it. So yeah, that is our three types of informational text. All right, guys, so now I want to look at some different sentences that we can go over and try and figure out what kind of text that is. So what kind of informational text are we looking at in each sentence? So let's look at number one. And number one says, a sheet of instructions or library volunteers that tells us how to shelve books according to the Dewey Decimal System. What the Dewey Decimal System is it's the way the books are categorized in the library with like decimals and numbers and stuff. All right, so a sheet of instructions for library volunteers that tells you how to, look at that, shelf books according to the Dewey Decimal System. So what I want you to do is I want you to take in your notebook, take out a piece of paper, make your guess. What do you think it is? So go ahead and pause the video here and make a guess. What do you think number 1 is? What do you think? All right, now that everyone's made their guess, let's look at it. So it's instructions. Do you remember from our chart? What did we use instructions for? What did we talk about? It says the words how to right there. So how to. What did we talk about for how to, right? So think about those 2 things. And then your answer should be technical. So number 1 is a technical text. If you got that right, if your guess was technical, give yourself a check mark next to your word. If you got it wrong, that is okay. Please do not erase it and write the correct answer. I want to see what you guys know. All right, let's look at number 2. It says an article that lists the causes of global warming as well as future predictions if humans do not change their current behaviors. So let's think about that. Is it telling us instructions or how to do something? Not really. Is it talking about something scientific, a scientific concept? Maybe. Is it talking about something that's happened in the past, like a historical event? Not really, right? So it's explaining, it's looking at future predictions. We've heard that word prediction. What will happen in the future. Global warming is a scientific concept. So go ahead and pause the video and kind of put your answer. Make a guess. What do you think number 2 is? Make your guess. All right. If you said scientific, you are correct. Number 2 is scientific because it's talking about global warming is that scientific concept, and it's telling us, it's giving us that data collection they use. They said as they're making future predictions, they looked at observations. They are going to tell us if we don't change things, the world's going to be very different. All right, look at number 3. It says a book about Ruby Bridges and her experience being the first African-American student to attend an all-white school in 1960. Is that telling us how to do something? No, it's not, right? It's not telling us how to do something. It's not giving us instructions. Is Ruby Bridges, is she a scientific concept? Is it talking about anything about that scientific? Not really. So what's left? Go ahead and use number 3 and make your guess. What do you think number 3 is? What do you think? Go ahead and pause the video if you haven't. All right. Everyone has their guess. If you said historical, you would be correct. Historical. Ruby Bridges is a famous person that we all know, or we all should know. She was the first African-American student to attend an all-white school in 1960, and that was when they were segregated, and African-Americans and whites couldn't go to the same school. And she was the first African-American to attend an all-white school, and that is a big historical event, right? So it's historical text. All right, number 4. An article about the eruption of Mount St. Helens that took place in 1980. So go ahead and take a guess on this one. What do you think? An article about the eruption of Mount St. Helens that took place in 1980. Go ahead and pause the video and take a guess. All right, now that we have we all have our guesses, the answer is historical. Great, yes, because Mount St. Helens and the eruption is a big historical event. It's something that happened in the past. You see, it says 1980 there. That's a date. When there's a date, it usually is historical. All right, look at number 5, a book about the parts of a volcano and what causes it to erupt. So, about the parts of a volcano and why it erupts. What do you think that is? Go ahead and take a guess. Pause the video to take your guess. All right. If you guessed scientific, you'd be correct because it's telling about some of the parts of a volcano, which is something you learn about in science, right? It's a scientific concept, like the parts of a volcano, what causes it to erupt. Those are all science things that we learn about, and you will learn about in 4th grade. All right, number 6, an article about how to survive an unexpected volcanic eruption. So look at that, how to survive. Take your guess. Pause the video so you can take your guess. If you guessed technical, you would be correct. Yes, because it's telling us how to survive an unexpected volcanic eruption. It is telling us how to do it. Great job. Yes. All right, number 7, an article in a flight magazine about the causes of airplane turbulence. So, the causes of airplane turbulence. So it's telling us about an airplane. So we're learning about an airplane and what causes airplane turbulence. What do you think that is? It's not really a historical event. It's not telling us how to do something. So it must be scientific. Yeah, because we're learning about that airplane and what causes the airplane turbulence. Yeah. Good. All right. Number 8, a pamphlet listing the steps you can take to best handle airplane turbulence. So we're listing steps. What do you think that is if they're listing our steps? It's telling us how to handle airplane turbulence. What is that? If you guessed technical, you would be correct. Yes, because it's telling us how to. It's giving us our steps. Remember, when you have steps and order and instructions and how to, it's technical. All right, number 9, a passage about the first ever hot air balloon ride. So the first ever hot air balloon ride. Let's think about it. Is that telling us how to ride a hot air balloon? No. Is it telling us about a hot air balloon? So we're learning about it? Not really. But it's telling us about the first person who ever rode one. So what do you think that is? If you guessed historical, you'd be correct because that's an event that happened. It's telling us the story is about the first person who ever rode a hot air balloon. Great job. All right, look at number 10, an article describing the accidental invention of popsicles by Frank Epperson. Ooh, this one's a little hard. Let's see, is it telling us how to do something? Or giving us steps or telling us what order to do it? No. What about, is it telling us about a scientific concept? Telling us about something? Kinda. What about, is it telling us about an event that happened, about a person, about something they did? So, what do you think it is? If you guessed historical, you'd be correct. Great job. So make sure you have all your guesses and you checked off the ones you got right. And then if you got some wrong, that's okay. That's why we're here to learn. And I hope my explanations helped you out, guys. So yeah, so now that we went over some questions, we went over the different types, you're gonna go onto you're on your Canvas, you're gonna keep scrolling and you're gonna see some more questions, some passages, and you're gonna tell me what kind of text they are, okay? So go ahead and do that, and if you guys need any help, just let me know. I'll have my Zoom hours, so just let me know if you need any help, and you guys are gonna do great, okay? Bye.